women trains, hopper cars, monstrosities, and deliveries. It was just the beginning of November on the island of New Florida, and the trains on the tracks were being really useful and friendly while pulling passengers, freight, and gender products to be really useful indeed. Amtrak was doing a good job with passenger traffic too, because it went from city to city in every state to be really useful indeed. One day, there was an evil engine in the yard. Her name was Lickvop. She was very awful and inappropriate. She did not care about the engines at all. One early afternoon, Pansy was delivering building supplies to a new campground. They were building some new buildings for the campers to sleep in at night in case they didn't have tents. As the crossing gates began to flash, the gates went down and Pansy steamed over the crossing. She enjoyed pulling goods trains and passengers because she's a mixed traffic engine, which means she can pull both passengers and freight. I hope these huts are finished soon, Pansy said. And she pulled into the yard just in time. Mr. Piester arrived. Lariah is leaking enzyme juice, he said. She can't pull freight cars. I want you to do her work until she's fixed. Not a problem, sir, Pansy said. And the workmen started to unload the building supplies as Pansy waited for Becky to pass with her goods train. It was really long, but she had to wait. Before long, she collected the freight cars and steamed up to a signal. Then there was trouble. She began to hear an evil laugh, which was Lickvop, who's evil. Move out of the way! She shouted. I'm I'm gonna destroy myself! And she rocketed by at breakneck speed. Out of my way! She shouted. And it left Pansy very frightened. Oh, no, I don't want to see that engine again, she said. The troublesome trucks laughed as she left. And then she steamed into the countryside. Then there was trouble. A man had raked leaves onto the tracks by mistake. I want to stop until they're clear, Pansy said. Her driver slammed on the brakes, and for fun, she crashed right into the leaf pile and leaves went flying. Hurrah! Hurrah! Laughed the trucks. Then she came to a stop. And then she started to carry on. That was fun! Laughed the trucks. In the rail yard, Mr. Cakester had a job. Alexia, Katie, and the others will collect a freight train today, he said. Sounds good, sir, Pansy said. Then she spoke to Alexia. Today, Alexia, I'm having you work with Katie, Shelley, Lori, and Lindsay today. Yes, I will, sir, said Alexia. And they buffered up to the freight train. All aboard! They called out. And Pansy steamed off to collect her train. Meanwhile, Lickvop was very angry. I have dynamite in my car, and then the man got frightened. Shut your mouth! He snapped. Dynamite is not something you say. I don't care, she said. I'm gonna tell your evil person who will put you in a big time out in jail. Mouthpunch, stop! She shouted. And she gave the freight cars an extra mighty biff. And they crashed right into the buffers! And came to a stop. The troublesome, the engine's not getting along. I'm shutting your mouth forever! She roared like Vop. Meanwhile, Alexia, Katie, Shelley, Lori, and Lindsay were doing their work. They were enjoying themselves. Sandy. Then a passenger train came into view. It was Amtrak's Northeast Regional. In the business class, Alexia, Katie, Shelley, Sandy, Lori, and the others steamed by. And Lickvop was super angry. She was evil. Nolan was waiting for the evil engine to pass. Stupid locomotive has to watch what he's doing next time! Roared Lickvop. She was cross. Then there was trouble. Pansy was hauling her freight train. Slow down, Alexia! There's gonna be a crash! She shouted. Alexia's driver slammed on the brakes as the nuclear alarm went off, and then it was too late! Goodness me, gasped Graziella. There's fire going off. It's an emergency. Meanwhile, the smoke was over the mountains as Amtrak's Palmetto made its way to New York City. When Pansy saw the crash, she was surprised. Luckily, no one was hurt, but the freight cars were derailed, and the brake van stayed on the tracks, and the engines were derailed. We're sorry, the engine said. We didn't have time to stop. Lickvop was damaged and destroyed beyond repair. Meanwhile, the engines were in the yard. You were really useful today, Thomas said. Of course we were, Sandy said from rear. I'm a really useful engine now that I'm repaired, Alexia said. You are really useful, Pansy said. I hope there's no crass language like shut up and stupid, Thomas said, and all the engines smiled happily.